Letting the mind run free, yeah, that's got a lot to do with it. The writing, the poetry, that's more of, I think of that more as a logical process. And when I paint or play music, painting abstract art is very similar to improvising. Like when a jazz musician improvises,
you and I are both huge jazz fans, which is going to come to pass at some point. We'll get to a jazz episode of this, I'm hoping.
Right, but the abstract art, painting and improvising, it kind of feeds off itself. A musician will lay down a melody line, and then he'll react to it. And I kind of do the same thing with paint. I'll throw some paint on the canvas, move it around, some forms emerge, and then I'll react to what I've done. And that's the way my paintings come about.
That's what I was going to ask, is like your work process. I'm sorry that the two of you can't talk because unfortunately, it's one of the only limitations with the switchboard that we use for Blog Talk Radio is that you can't have the multiple guests on, which I wasn't sure about. But when John was just on, John Stack was just on and was telling us some of the shows that he has, and he was also talking about he was actually in the process of painting while he called into the show, which I thought was great. He's very spontaneous and he works quickly. Now, Pete,
that's admirable. On the other hand, I'm watching the Oscars.
I know. I think I'm the only person who I didn't forget, but I only saw one out of the 10 movies that was nominated.
I have to say this. You mentioned Christian Bale. He won, I think, Best Supporting Actor.
I'm a big fan.
He got up. I am too, but he got up there and he was thanking people, and he said, "And I want to thank my wife," and he couldn't remember his wife's name. I swear to God.
It's either he's nervous or it was a complete knock. It was one or the other. He's in the process of filming Batman right now. He doesn't care. Yeah. So, Pete, what is your work process like? John is up right now. I have no doubt. I know him well enough where he's probably going to be up until 2 in the morning painting tonight. Do you work at a specific time of day, or how much prep time goes into that form of, like, emotional painting that you do?
Well, there's a lot of preparation that goes into it, but I'll work at any time of the day or night. I can really relate to John's process. Similarly, we work very fast and spontaneously. Spontaneity is a very big part of what we do, and it adds to the excitement and surprise. I often surprise myself by what I do, and when I get surprised, I know I got something good going, because then the viewer is going to be surprised too.
Well, one of the things that I've always liked, and I'm very fortunate that we're friends, I've got to come to your studio a few times, is you work on very large canvases, and the stuff that I see is most definitely along the lines of abstract, but it's almost like this accessible abstract where it leaves enough to the imagination, and I think that your work is open to interpretation, but it isn't like an overload. Are you conscious about, other sets of eyes that are going to be on your works when you're painting, or do you just not care what people are going to say until you're completely done?
I am absolutely not conscious of thinking about other sets of eyes. As a matter of fact, I'm hardly conscious at all when I'm painting. Part of the beauty of abstract work, or my type of abstract work, is trying not to think of anything. It's kind of like a form of meditation. And
I like that.
For instance, John says that he'll start moving paint around, and then he'll see things, mostly figures, and he'll pull the figures out of the painting. Whereas that's where we differ. With my painting, I rarely relate to an objective correlative or anything in the outside world. As a matter of fact, when something does emerge like that, like a face or something, I usually try to, hide it, obscure it in some way. And, I like non-objective abstraction.
One of the ways that you and I have met is the same way I met John is through the Fresh Art Collective. And I know that you've had some shows with them. What are some of the recent gigs where people would be able to see your work? Is it also online? I mean, you have a website that you could tell us about where people could go and see.
I have a website, petergalasso.com. Yeah, petergalasso.com. You can see most of my paintings up there. I have to get up there and maintain it because I have a lot of new paintings that haven't made it up there, and a lot of paintings which have sold, I'm happy to say.
That's awesome. I also know you've been very productive lately, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's very productive. I painted a big one today, maybe 4 feet by 6 feet. And I
love
on
how
it for
productive
7
my
hours.
friends have been.
Yeah. It's you got to keep busy.
On a side note, you happen to be in one of my favorite Long Island bands. It's classic rock, blues, British Invasion, primarily covers the Barking Men, who, especially during the warmer months, I know you guys have gig after gig. You're one of the lead guitarists and singers. How big is music an influence on your painting?
That's a great question because music is a huge influence on my painting. But once I started painting, I find that the painting helps me with music as well. They feed off of one another. The whole idea about freeing up the emotions and the subconscious, it works just terrific for me. And speaking of Toast, the Barking Men's first gig of the year will be the first Thursday in April at Toast.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's news to me. I'm so psyched. So everybody can come down. Toast Coffee House is in Port Jefferson on East Main Street. The art shows are the first Thursday of every month. I'm not sure who the artist is going to be, but definitely come down because there's always great art and music. And Pete's band will be playing the first Thursday of April. That's awesome, man. Pete, I want to thank you for being on the show, but I'm going to let you go because I'm only allowed one caller at a time, and I got my friend Russ on the other line.
But, I got you. It was a real pleasure, Chad.
It's Peter. Oh, I'm so glad that you were here, and we're going to catch up soon. But it's petergalasso.com, and the Barking Men, your band, is going to be playing at Toast Coffee House first Thursday of April.
That's correct.
Pete, thank you so much for being here, man. This is a lot of fun.
Okay, Chad. Take care.
You got it. Is Russ on the line?
Russ is on the line.
How you doing, buddy? I apologize for that. For anybody that's listening, Russ and I both started our radio shows within a few days of each other. Russ is the host of Radioactive, which is Fridays at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you know what, man? This is a learning experience. I absolutely love the service. I love the website, but as I go along, there's tiny little limitations. I didn't know that it could be one caller at a time, so I apologize, but thanks for waiting.
Oh, I love being on your show, and thank you very much for giving me my plug. And it is a learning experience, and I'm sure we'll get it. I haven't had the opportunity yet to move through different guests on my show. This past week, I had my test run, which you had a few weeks ago. And it
was a lot of fun. You were there. Yeah, it was a blast.
Yes. And, it's I love Blog Talk Radio. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I look forward to my show this Friday, as a matter of fact, as we're talking right now.
About? Give us a hint.
Well, before I get into that, I'm watching the TV right now. And this past week, we were talking about Charlie Sheen. And,
I can't say enough about Charlie Sheen. Just fucking wind my key, dude.
Yeah, well, he's the big news now coming out of the Oscars is that he will now have a 2-part interview on ABC starting tomorrow morning, I believe, and on Tuesday, and it looks like he's got his guns out. So we'll
Dude, I saw a picture.
See where his career goes from here.
I don't read the New York Post, but this morning I stumbled out of bed and I went down for coffee at Dunkin' Donuts, and there's like 7 different newspapers, and I'm waiting online because for some reason in Northport the Dunkin' Donuts has like 12 people online every Sunday morning. It's amazing. But I'm standing there, and there's like the New York Post, and there's a big stack of them. And like on their front, there's real news going on. But the front cover is a picture of Charlie Sheen smiling. He sent the photo out, like he tweeted this. It's him with a porn star, his most recent ex-wife, and his girlfriend, and they're all on vacation together as we speak.
All together, one big.
The 3 of them.
It was something, and I thought it would be an interesting first topic if anybody was listening. And to tell you the truth, we've had a pretty good response in spite of how little I promoted the show, the first test drive show. We've had a great response. It was such an interesting topic. That evening, he was on every major news program, of course, including Piers Morgan. And I was saying to myself,
he had the same topic that you had on your show.
It's these. I could talk about a whole variety of things, or I could talk about what everybody else is talking about. And we had a lot of fun.
What I really love, though.
This week. Yeah, this week on my show, we're going to be talking about Hollywood reboots, and like you were alluding to, there is news on the internet that Viggo Mortensen
will be playing. We'll hold off on the surprise over that.
Yeah, playing somebody.
Got so much fodder for you.
In a movie with a guy that wears a red cape. so it's gonna be fun. We always look to have a lot of fun on Radioactive.
It's awesome. Well, what have you been watching the Oscars? Because it was already on when I got home.
I watched a little of it tonight. Yeah,
I know Bale won, and Randy Newman won. This is all that I know. Am I missing anything? Because I've only seen one out of the 10. They had to keep up this. The 10 movies that were nominated, I only saw one of the 10. What just?
I saw a few. I saw a few of them. I was rooting for Social Network. They got. I didn't see them win anything major. Fincher didn't win. Eisenberg didn't win. They didn't win for Best Picture, and I caught probably the last 20 minutes of it. I saw quite a few movies. King's Speech swept. Natalie Portman did win Best Actress.
Oh, did she win?
She won Best Actress.
I didn't see that movie either.
I'd say she deserved it. She went up there, and she has been working since such a young age, and she's really a great talent. And I hadn't
seen that. Funny that if she could take it back, she wouldn't make that movie with Ashton Kutcher because there was no way to predict that she was going to win an Oscar the same year. I think anybody thinks would erase the movie that they made with Galasso.
It's funny that you bring that up because it's so funny that you bring that up because now the next movie that she's in is like it's going to be a medieval stoner flick with Jack Black. So it should be.
Is it Jack Black or it's your buddy from Eastbound and Down?
Oh, it is. It is. I think. Are they both in it? Are they both in it?
I don't know. It's another episode.
You know what? I think it's. You know what? I think you're right. I think it's Franco, and I think it's my buddy from Eastbound and Down.
I can't remember his name, but he's hysterical.
Yeah, he is great. He is great. So, but it was you had a great show this evening. I was listening to John. And
I'm very fortunate in that I have a lot of talented friends, and I want to try and keep it topical. I mean, it's going to be a little hindrance if it's one caller at a time, but I love doing a roundup with you. And in the weeks that follow, I was very fortunate. John and Pete both are absolutely fantastic artists, and I can sit there and bullshit about theory with them for hours, which we've done.
Yeah.
But I want to try and get a little bit political and with the pop culture stuff as well. And it's funny with the Oscars, there should be we could easily do an entire Oscar episode, but I didn't see a fucking thing except the one movie that I went to see with you. I just don't care. I can talk a blue streak about the reboots, but it doesn't make me happy about it in any capacity. I'm just going to
we're going to delve into that this week on my show.
We're going to
some of them you get really excited about, but Hollywood has been consumed with these reboots, so it's really funny. Yeah, I mean the interest is down when you know the story. How many different times can you go through it? So
within 10 years' time.
Yeah, we'll talk.
I think that Christian Bale won his Oscar just in time because they're never going to get him to put on the bat suit again.
That's about it.
We'll get into it. We're actually wrapping up. This was a really fast half hour, so I'm going to sign off. Now, Radioactive is on Fridays, 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard, right here on Blog Talk.
Yes. Thank you so much for allowing that, Chad, and we
we
look forward.
Buddy. It's going to be so much fun. Thank you for being here, man. Russ Papia.
Thank you for having me. Okay, I will talk to you soon, my friend.
You got it. All right, buddy. Bye. Peace. I also want to thank John Stack and Pete Galasso, two of my absolute favorite artists and closest friends. Again, the show is I Hate It Here. It's on once a week on Sunday nights. It's always going to be at 11:30 p.m., so you can end your weekend by listening to the show, and we're going to have all kinds of topics. We had two artists on tonight, and in the coming weeks we'll have more musicians, more politicians. Please keep tuning in on Blog Talk Radio. My name is Chad Cushins, and thank you so much for listening. So, American Badlands, have a good night.